Hello and welcome everyone. This is Shashank Tyagi from Edukemy. I hope this message finds you fit and fine. So we are continuing this series. In previous video, we were discussing concept of state, then difference between state and government, state and nation, and even state and country. So today we are going to talk about theories of the origin of state and concept of social contract. Okay. So before we start theories of the origin of state, you should know there are two perspectives on this particular topic. One says that a state is there from the start. State is universal. And a counter perspective is no, a state has some origin. If we adhere to first perspective, which says that a state was always there. All of you know that state is a concept. A state is not tangible like we have government, because government is just one element of state which exercise sovereignty on behalf of state, right? Which make law, execute law on the behalf of state. State is the concept, but if it is a concept, it must be having some origin. One idea says that, another says that no, it's there from the start. So this idea that state has some origin can be categorized broadly into three parts. One is social contract theory, one is historical and evolutionary theory, and third is Marxian theory. So when we talk about social contract theory, I must tell you that social contract is not just a theory. It is a tradition in political science, because there are many thinkers who have contributed in development of this theory. In first topic video where I was discussing political theory, I already explained what is difference between some set of ideas with an objective which we call ideology and theory. Because theory attempts to explain some political reality. If we are observing that yes, there is a state, then this theory is explaining why this system is working this particular way, and it is having deep impact on our lives, which you are going to know just in 2-3 minutes. So first, when we talk about contract, there are two words, social and contract. When I say contract, what is contract? Can we say there's a document and there are some parties, and these parties entering into contract means these parties are agreeing to the rules or guidelines which are written on this contract, right? So this is contract. And when I say social, it means this contract is not between 2 or 3 people. This contract is within society, right? So this particular topic, when I say social contract theory, you're going to get additional ideas when we cover Western political thought, and within that, when we cover Hobbes, Locke, Rousseau, right? But the base idea and the clarity you are going to get today, okay? So this idea of social contract, whether you talk about Hobbes, Locke, or Rousseau, this starts from this word state of nature. So there are two keywords or two key ideas which are differentiating factors when we talk about ideas of Locke, Hobbes, or Rousseau. One is state of nature. So what is state of nature? A state of nature is a hypothetical state. These thinkers said that, okay, if we are saying that there was some start, there was some origin of the concept of state, then when was that origin? कब हुआ होगा ऐसा? So all of you know, every creation has a creator and every creation has a timeline. कभी तो हुआ होगा ना creation. If I'm having mobile, then this mobile has some manufacturing date. And similarly, if we are talking about a concept, about an idea, then this idea must have emerged in a particular timeline. And there must be some circumstances which led to the emergence of this idea, which we call as state. So the circumstances can be explained by this hypothetical situation, which we call state of nature. It means this was that time when there was no state. Means no one was there to govern, to make laws, to execute laws. Consider yourself in that situation, then what does it mean? It means there is no police, there was no police, there was no judiciary, there was no parliament, there was no ruler. You are free to do whatever you want, free to be, free to act. So do you like that situation? When you just hear this for the first time, do you like the situation? Maza aa jayega, koi nahi hai rokne wala. Is it? But don't you think we are more advantageous? We are in more advantageous situation when we have certain rules around us. If we remove the police, if we remove these laws, if we remove the concept of state, don't you think there's a direct threat to our life, to whatever we have? Because now we are on our own. If there is no state, we are on our own. You cannot knock the door of police station. You cannot knock the door of any government authority. Right? So in that state, life seems difficult. And this is the reason this idea of social contract theory emerged. And this social contract theory, this idea is based on this particular state of nature. This theory says, kabhi na kabhi aisa hua hoga. And for having solution, people got together and they built a contract. They agreed on some points, and on these points, a state was established. Okay, since we need some security, we need order, we need stability, let's agree to these points and let's establish state. Although when I'm going to cover Western political thought, so then I'm going to also compare about what was the perspective of Hobbes and Locke and its differentiation. Although you are going to get fair idea in this video also. Okay. Another point is, you got what is state of nature. This is a hypothetical situation when there was no state. Okay, when there was no state, means situation was difficult, and that is why we needed state and we needed a contract. Okay, so when we needed a contract, there's a kind of chronology in this theory why we came to this point. So in the start, we were hunters and gatherers, but as we started settling down, we got into agriculture, we got sense of property. We needed protection of this property. And that's why we agreed to having a state, government, rules, right? Now the point is, I've not told you about the kind of government. I've just told you these people agreed for the state. And government is just one element of state. Government can be of any form. Democracy can be one form. Kingship, monarchy can be other form. So if we look into medieval history, or even before that, the most prevalent theory of the origin of state was this theory of divine origin. It means, it says that the king who is ruling above us is having divine rights. If you are having good king, benevolent king, then it means God is benevolent. God wants this king to be benevolent for you. But if you are having bad king, still you cannot revolt, because king is having divine rights. King is resembling will of God. So if you are having bad king, then consider it your fate. God wants to punish you through this king. Don't you think these political ideas impact our lives. Because there were times when society was accepting everything bad which was done by ruler. And why they were accepting? Because it is will of God. God wants us now. It is our fate. But as we got this social contract theory, where political thinkers like Hobbes, Locke, they said, no, even if we are having king, we are having this government and we are having state, then this is part of this is output of social contract. If king is ruling because of us. Because sometime back, our ancestor agreed to put this king or their lineage on the throne so that they can do a particular job. So king is there to do a particular job. If king is not doing that particular job, then you can question that king. Right? So don't you think this idea of social contract is quite powerful? There was a time when people were not questioning because it is will of God. But as this social contract theory said that no, state is an output of your contract. When state was nature was there was disturbance, then people agreed to give some power to king and power to that particular state, and there was certain duties which they supposed to do, right? So in short, can we say that in social contract, a state has evolved as a result of a contract between men? All of us agree to this point until now? Yes. It is not natural institution. It is not like state is natural. It was always there, like trees, like water. No, state has an origin. And why that origin? Because there was a need. So, but a contractual entity is a contractual entity. So this we have got until now. We got the need of social contract. Okay, chronology of social contract. Now, just look at this picture. So one prominent thinker of social contract tradition is Rousseau. Okay, so Rousseau said there was a time when citizens, means group of people, agreed, and their agreement can be said general will. Means they agreed on certain points, so they gave their will. Okay, and they in that will they agreed to achieve certain goals. And this agreement, what was this agreement? We are exchanging our freedoms for security. In state of nature, we would do whatever we would do. उस time जो करना है हम कर सकते थे. But now we have laws. But we are accepting that yes, we are going to agree. We are going to work under the laws. We are agreeing to that. But we are agreeing because we want something. And what does we want? We want this. We want that our civil liberties are upheld. Certain protections, certain rights are there. हम protection चाहते हैं. We need security. And for security, we are giving some freedom. If I am giving my freedom to act in whatever manner we want, then my neighbor is also giving freedom. My other people in my society are also giving up certain freedoms to accept security. So it represents interest of both the parties, right? Now, can we say that this social contract theory is giving power to the people? Yes, it is giving. I gave you example of bad king, and from the bad king, now people got this awareness. No, the state is an outcome of our contract. Now king has to get into the line, otherwise there will be a revolution, right? Now just look at this dialogue. This one is saying, why should I obey law? Abhi, present, why should I obey law? The second one is saying, it is part of the social contract. We obey laws because it is part of a social contract. Then this person is saying, this cartoon is saying, this character is saying, I didn't sign any social contract. So it can be you in this place. Okay? For example, if some of you ask, so why we follow these laws? Why? Is it only fear of police, fear of punishment, or there's some other reason? Then this is saying, then I would say, okay, this is part of social contract. Then he would say, no, in my memory, I have not signed any contract. Then I will tell you, no, our ancestors signed a particular contract. For example, Indian Constitution. Indian Constitution is a perfect example of social contract. The members of Constituent Assembly were representing Indian mass, and they signed the contract. They agreed on our behalf. And if any one of you say, as of now, no, they signed on my behalf, but I don't agree to this, and that is why I don't want to be part of this contract. I want to roam in my city as an independent republic. If you want to roam like an independent republic, then I must tell you one more point of social contract, which says that when this agreement was happened, for example, in a constitution also, in the social contract theory also, it says that within social contract, we mention that if in future date, some of you say that no, we want to come out of social contract, then you cannot. Okay? You can change the state, but we are talking about the concept of state. Okay? If you say no, I'm not going to adhere to any kind of state which is there on the face of earth or in existence, then I must say that there is a point which says that you cannot go out of contract. Why? Because these philosophers and these political thinkers, when they postulated this theory, they said that man is individualistic in nature. It may be possible in future when you find it more convenient to break the law, to come out of the purview of law, then you choose to come out of contract. But your coming out of contract may threaten the stability, of state, existence of state. Then who we are going to choose? You or the society? We are going to choose the stability, integrity in our state or stability in society. That is why it was mentioned, if someone is becoming individualistic and for own interest saying no, I'm not going to be part of this contract, then there are laws for you. Okay, then you can have some punishment. Okay, if you have, it's the law, you have to, because it's the law is saying you are part of the contract. For India, it is our constitution, the fundamental rule book, right? Now, so can we deduce from this discussion that social contract theory says that people living together in society in accordance with an agreement that establishes moral and political rules of behavior. This is what we have got until now, right? If we live according to a social contract, we can live morally by our own choice, not because a divine being requires it. Okay, when we say social contract, so we are part of contract, it is our choice. We want to live in this particular way. Okay, we are not living in this particular way because some divine being, some divine authority is saying that do this, do that, right? Now, two prominent thinkers, Hobbes and Locke. So Hobbes said that there is no protection of rights of men before state. So when there was no state, what was that state? State of nature, when there was no state. So Hobbes was saying there was no protection of rights of man before the state came into being. And therefore man enters into agreement. Okay. So man enters into agreement because men wanted to protect certain rights. He suggested an overarching state with enormous powers. Now, you should not just, read this. I've always told in my classes that whenever you want to master a particular thinker, and want good kind of articulation in your answers, then don't just remember the key statements. Get into the story in which this concept is embedded. Every concept is embedded in story in political science. There's logic around every concept. Just get to its root and things will be smooth. Rhyming, right? Get to its root and things will be smooth. Now, the point is why Hobbes was saying this. Okay, So when you cover Hobbes, you get to the time of Hobbes. When Hobbes was born, there was chaos in the area. He was born in Britain, and at that point, Britain was having civil war, and also Britain was having attack from outside. A Spanish armada was coming in. So there was chaos. When there's chaos, it means our rights are not ensured. We need certain kind of protection. And when there's civil war, it means people are not accepting the authority of the king. At that point, Hobbes said, no, we should accept the authority of the king, but the view will be changed. Now, king is not divine, not having divine rights. King is there because it is output of our contract. Our rights need to be protected. But seeing the chaos in his time, he was of the view that state should have enormous powers. Because when there is chaos, then can you control chaos by giving roses to the people who are, doing this destruction, fighting around? No. You need certain hard power, right? In administration, this kind of situation happen. You're a district magistrate in their chaos. You need power. You need batons. You need some, water cannons, right? Now the point is, this was idea of Hobbes. Okay. When it comes to Locke, he suggests that a state is just an additional safeguard. It means, according to Locke, in state of nature, things were not as bad as Hobbes was suggesting. Although there was no rule, but things were not as bad. It means, in starting, people were also rational. But gradually, they understood that since we are getting into the settled way of life, we want to protect our property. So, to ensure that stability continues, to ensure that more order is there, this additional safeguard was originated, which we call state, to protect rights of the men, and that is why he advocated minimal state, because according to him, situations were fine. The situations were not that much critical. If situations were not that much critical, it means a state need not to have enormous power. A state should have that much power so that a state can protect your rights. That is, we are going to discuss in Western political thought. When I go to these particular topics, I'm going to talk about concept of night watchman state. Like a night watchman state has to protect your property, like watchmen do. Okay. So when we categorize between Hobbes and Locke's idea, broad categorization needs to be done on the basis of what Hobbes' idea of human nature was and what was the role of government. It means, according to Hobbes, people are cruel, greedy, and selfish. What do you think? This is what Hobbes was saying, that in state of nature and in general, people are cruel, greedy, and selfish. Okay? And according to Locke, people are reasonable and moral. People are not that bad. People are reasonable. People know, if I'm going to, even if there is no rule, if I'm going to, do something against this particular person, then this particular person can also do something against me. So what is best? Best is, I should be self-sufficient. I should be, on my own. I should be taking care of my things. It's not that I should do something wrong against any person. So that was idea of Locke. Then I said another differentiation is what is role of government. Okay. So according to Hobbes, we need absolute monarchy. We need a king having absolute power. But that king has to work for protection of rights, right? But absolute monarchy is needed because chaos can be controlled only by absolute power. That was the idea of Hobbes. And why that idea? Because Hobbes were living in those circumstances. Nah? And each one of us, whatever way we behave, our behavior has something to do with our past experiences, right? अगर किसी को धोखा मिलेगा तो थोड़ा सोच समझ के आगे विश्वास करेगा. If अगर किसी के साथ नहीं हुआ, that person will be easy going, right? Now, limited government that people can overthrow. So Locke was saying no, the limited role of government, right? People have more power. In social contract, people give up freedom for an organized society, and for Locke, we gave up freedom for the basic funda was that we want our natural rights. We want liberty, life, and property. They should be ensured. And for Hobbes, first priority was to have organized a society. Okay, when we have organized society, certain rights will be taken care of. But for Locke, no, it is prime responsibility of state. If we are having social contract and creating state, then it is prime responsibility that the state has to ensure life, liberty, and property. These are basic rights, right? So broadly, now we can conclude that there are following differentiation in Hobbes and Locke with regard to social contract theory. For example, Hobbes was saying absolute monarchy, and when John Locke is saying no, limited government that can be overthrown, don't you think it is somewhat describing democracy? In democracy, you can overthrow government in next election, but in absolute monarch, if king is there, can you easily change the king, right? Now, people are born with rights that they relinquish to the monarch in return of protection. So the prime idea is protection. Remember this. But when it comes to Locke, the prime idea is right to life, liberty, and property. That is why we are making this state. Okay. He believed that people are wicked, selfish, cruel. I've already told you. He believed that no, nature is good, reasonable. People should be trusted to govern themselves. An absolute monarch would demand obedience to maintain the order. Because how you are going to maintain the order? You need obedience. People who adhere to what monarch is saying. Monarch is going to give you stability. Monarch is going to give you security. But you have to adhere to what monarch is saying. Yes, people could be trusted to govern themselves. According to Hobbes, no, people cannot be trusted. Locke was saying no, people can be trusted. Locke believed that if provided the right information, they would make good decisions. And that is why democracy is based on we people making good decisions. Decision to choose who are going to rule us. Okay, or do something for, as per the priorities which we decide. The purpose of the government was to keep law and order. This was the prime purpose. Have this in mind. The purpose of the government is to protect individual liberties and rights. This is the broad categorization. I hope this categorization and this discussion help you build the foundation of the concept of social contract. Do tell me if you like this video and tune in for the further discussion. In next video, I'm going to continue from evolutionary aspect of origin of theory of state, and also I'm going to talk about Marxist theory of state. Okay, so till then, keep learning, keep growing. Shashank Tyagi signing off.